Well, welcome in, family. Welcome back to the porch, a global Christ-conscious, living, breathing church. Amen. So we're here without labels. We're here with the Spirit, the water. Welcome in. So this is also a big old hug for the 1111 family. You're not crazy. Anyway, just feeling the water. I have one heck of a message to bring you guys in just a moment. There you go. For those of you that love that. The message that I got last night was so deep, and it's scary for me to bring in my flesh because it's boy, count the cost. You got to come forward. Anyway, the message that I received last night was over 5 hours long. Beautiful things came flowing out of my mouth. Ahas, huge epiphanies, and I fought with I gotta go tell the porch. And every time I wanted to come in here and tell you guys, I was almost like interrupting the water, the channeling, the knowing, the time that Spirit was spending with me. So it kept on and kept on until the evening. Anyway, today I've been really nervous about bringing you this what I heard last night because of it's a bullhorn. Whew, it's a bullhorn. And not to leave you hanging. And it's something that I've also talked about before. And know this through my heart. Know this right now. 97% of the stuff that I bring you, unless I tell you otherwise, usually I'll say this is from me, but when it's from the water, I tell you it's from the water. And so this is an entire channel of, on the YouTube and here on this porch. Every video I put out is in tandem with the living Spirit. I guarantee you that. So it's not my opinion, it's what he's saying. And that's why I was a little abrasive. I'm a little resistant to bring, I'm still going to do the obedience of it and bring it to you, but I myself am a little bit resistant to it because it is so loud and I'm not sure I sit well with it. Well, it's called truth and it makes you uncomfortable and it's always provocative, and that's what truth does. So what I've talked about in the past is spirituality, religion, and religion and spirituality, and religion and spirituality, and spirituality and religion. I've done this many times on my channel through the revelation of the water. So last night was a 5-hour event between me and Jesus. I wasn't looking to, be busy in him. I was doing my own thing. But boy, he sat me right up off my bed and took me on a little bit of a verbal and wild ride for, like I said, about 5 hours. What he brought to me was, oh my gosh, there's so many facets of it, but it all is congruent. And I even told Jesus last night, I said, I heard all that you just said through me, and it's all so beautiful and so point. How am I going to wrap that up and bring that to the porch cohesively? And I'm nervous about that. So I'm just going to keep trying to breathe through the paper bag because I know how big the message is, and it's a beautiful message. If I don't get involved, if I just stay low and let Jesus do the holy takeover, it's going to be a beautiful message. Anyway, I'm going to do this tonight, but I'm going to start warming up with you guys because you know how it is with me. I have to warm up to you, and then we get going. I'm like an old go-kart that way. So right now, I wanted to talk to you about love. Love. That stuff we play for, the love connection. Anyway, I want to talk about love real quick because love is God and God is love, and we know this. But if heaven was a Detroit factory and they had a smokestack, what are they pumping out? What is the material that they're making? They're making love, baby. What is that you say? You say they're making love. That term sounds familiar to you, doesn't it? Making love. And the reason it does is because making love is the most sacred act that we can do unto each other. It is the most intimate, vulnerable, trusting act that we can do upon another. Making love. So, as human beings, it's hot in here, excuse me. So I turned the heater on. I got one of those, old, archaic 1909 heaters. They're radiant heat. You gotta love it. Anyway, making love is so like I said, if heaven had a Detroit factory, they would be, quote, pumping out and making love. And this love is what goes around the world. When we say love each other, love the world, love your neighbor, that's the time that this love. And love begets miracles. Love can move mountains. Love can change a king's heart overnight. Love can change the world, right? Yeah. So when we're talking about making love here, Jesus says, when I get into your life and I work with you, everything that you create, like for instance, Lainey and Jesus are creating the porch. That is a baby that we made through love. I let Jesus run through me, impregnate me with the seed of an idea, and then boop, here it is, because it's half and half. It's half his, half mine. And where we came together, we fruited something amazing. Mary did that with the energy of love itself. But Mary did that with God, and God is love. So when she did that, she gave us Jesus. What a wonderful fruit that was. So he's asking us to mimic that same kind of love. Let's be making love. It's a product. Okay, love is a feeling. You can make it, box it up, and send it out into the world. But you have to know what your gifts are. You have to know what you offer the world so you can be living in your passion, like Jesus died in his passion for you. You live in your passion and do what you love to do in your passion in your life. That is why you're here, and that's the Holy Grail. So if you're like still asking God, like, what is my purpose in life? You've got to find out how you make love to the world. How you make love to yourself. How are you going to make love? It's like making dinner. How are you going to create that for yourself? If you're waiting on strangers to come into your life and to create love for you, they can be really bad cooks for you. They're not bringing love. You have to house love yourself. Okay? That's how you can be secure no matter who's coming or going or leaving or whatever in your life. You are solid because you're founded in a higher consciousness, a higher love. So love is also the currency of heaven. They don't work with money currency. Currency in heaven is love. Okay, it gets you further at the end of the day than money ever will. And if we treat our brother, our mother, our cousin, our lover, our dogs, and everybody else with love, okay, it'll get you further down the road at the end of the day than money ever will. Okay, so love is also a currency. We should invest in it. We should not squander it, right? We should earn it. So love is more than just this one flat word. If I wish I could just fall in love. Oh, and we use the word love. We kind of just bat it around like a racquetball. We have to remember that we're talking about the manufacturing material that heaven makes, and that is love. So be careful when you're just batting it around, you know what I mean? Love is a very sacred thing. Love is patient. Love is kind. So love is, it's God and everything that God is, and love is wrapped around us completely. All you have to do is look at anything. The other day, I was at my job site. I build porches. So I'm sitting, I was, stuck on this piece of wood, and anyway, I'm sitting there holding it, and out of nowhere, okay, if it was a kangaroo, I would have seen it, but out of nowhere, I'm working in this little space, and I'm holding onto like a 2x4 post, and I see this little tiny like worm, and it's actually an inchworm that hasn't grown up yet, and I laughed. I wasn't stoned, crowd. I mean, I laughed so hard at the fact that this was an inchworm who was like growing up. Do you know, that's just, it still makes me laugh. Goals. We all have goals. Okay. So I seen this little bitty half an inchworm, and he's just like scoot, and I'm like, where did you come from? You're so tiny. And now it's like right here in my focal point. I felt like a 5-year-old, like, not paying attention to the ball in a game or something. Here I am trying to build a porch, and I'm holding a 2x4 post, and all of a sudden I'm like, ooh, look, a half an inchworm growing up. Ooh. But I got so much cute little happiness from that, and childlike happiness from that. So when you're waiting on other people to bring you happiness or add to your happiness, an inchworm that's growing up made me happy the other day. So, anyway, I just wanted to, warm up and remind you guys what love is. Love is fuel, love is fire, love is currency, and love, like I said, love is the surname of heaven. Love is the surname of the Trinity that we serve. What is their last name? It's like, what is Jesus' last name? What's God's last name? What is the last name? The last name is love. Surname, love. You know what I mean? So that's the house we serve. Love. So really, albeit that love is, if we need a religion, love. There shouldn't be any other religion than love. One religion, one love. Other than that, it's just confusing and we're lost. So that's what I'm here for. Love. So I'll be back in just a minute, and I'm going to just try to saddle up a bull and ride it in front of you. So I'm telling you, man, there's a reason I'm stuck on, a little hesitant on this message. If I do it right, you'll understand what I mean. So we're going to be talking about the differences. There's 2 churches on this land, and Jesus told me last night what those 2 churches are, and boy, he ran the gamut. He went all the way to Moses and snakes and Kundalini snakes and exterior and internal snakes, and he showed me a lot of stuff last night. He showed me a lot of cool stuff. It's all very connected and very congruent. And he was talking to me about his church, and he was talking about the devil's mimicry of church and how they sit on the back of each other and how that's a mirage. And there's only 2 churches in this land. One's of death and one's of love and one's of life. And we better have keen eyes to know which church that we're serving. All right? So not ideology. Which church, okay? And Jesus says, I'm just going to go ahead. I made it flow right into this, but Jesus says, he has a church, and 11:11, and the awakening, spiritual awakening, the Christ consciousness. Hello, we are here, and we're here in number. I came from that water. Look at me. I've got a watermark on me. I don't come from doctrine. Doctrine is made out of papers. It's just papers, okay? You can smoke out of papers, just papers. Papers, okay, wow, I got some papers. You know what's really neat? I got a watermark. I came up out of the water. I got a watermark. At the end of the day, if you want to tell if currency is truly real, you're going to hold it up to the light. You're going to hold those papers up to the light. And what are you looking for? You're looking for an authentication mark. And in money, we look for that money mark when we hold that watermark, when we hold the money up to the light, to be sure that it's real. It has real value. It's got a watermark. And Jesus said, you are my currency. And I love you, and love is my currency, and you are my currency, because through you I can make love, okay? That means right now, through Jesus Christ, he can enter Lainey, and Lainey's going to fruit love with Jesus out in the world, okay? Maybe it might be a book, maybe it be a church, maybe it be a movement or a phone call. It doesn't matter. I'm making love, and I'm pushing it out in the world. You know what I'm saying? And so he was just telling me, that there's a church that comes from doctrine, and there's a church that comes from love, which is of the surname of the heavens. You know what I mean? So, like a church with no name. And he's saying, the 11:11, the Christ consciousness, it is obvious that just me and whole thousands and hundreds and thousands and uncountable matches of other type of people are waking up in the love consciousness, the 5D love consciousness that is here now on the land. This is what people are talking about. Love, 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 love. Well, I only know one family that's got a surname of love, and that is the Trinity, and that's the alive Jesus Christ, and he manifested. He's here now. It's funny when people say, God's coming back. He's here now in energy. Can't you see it in you and me? Can't you see it in the reflection of you and me? Can't you see that? And I'm not from a church of the land, okay? I'm from this church of the air, okay? The spirit. I'm from the church of the spirit. And so he talked to me today about how there's churches of papers and doctrine. And then there's churches of the water, the watermark, and not that one is right. He told me last night, there's no right and wrong. Let's not do right and wrong. There's only one thing. There's lost, and there's home, there's found, there's lost, or there's found. There's no right and wrong. It's just lost or found. It's alive or dead. And I thought that was very, very interesting. And then, I may just roll right into this. He was telling me that, and he told me, I kind of walked through this once with a friend as a guinea pig. To break this down, this is what Jesus did with me on my bed last night. He sat me straight up and he told me, and I'm just going to, let's just do what Lanny does. Let's just strip the ego and just tell him like I seen it. Tell him like I saw it. Jesus told me last night, I just sat straight up out of my bed, and he told me that the woman in I'm not going to look at you when I do this. He said that the woman in Revelations was actually the church. I don't know what the church is, but he said that would be like religions. And I'm not going to point out one religion or whatever. Not all religions, whatever. Who's left or right, who's good and bad. He just said, there's either alive in me or dead in me. There's either lost or found. There's not right or wrong. And he said through me. And like I said, I already told you, church. I already told you guys that I was a little abrasive and timid to bring this message because I wasn't fully seated on it. But we ain't got time to wait on Laney to agree with God. I got time for Laney to go with God. So God said last night to me that there is one perceivable church. If we're unconscious, we just kind of go around. Church is church, and church means church for everybody. It's a little bit different. It's your front porch, or it's actually down the road, and all the different labels, the First Baptist, the Last Baptist, the Last Sinners, the First Self-Righteous, whatever church. He said it's the earth's idea that there's only one definition to church. And he said to me, to him, there is, and I'm going to use the same word here. I'm going to use the word church, but Jesus means it in different ways. So to get that across to us temporal-minded, I'm going to use different inflections for the word church. Jesus says that he's building a Christ-conscious church right here on the land, right now, in front of the world and outside of all other churches. He's building a living, live church right now that does not speak Babel. We're all going through different things. We're all going through the same circumstances all over the globe. And now we all speak a love light language. And you know what I'm talking about when we speak a language. How did God teach 500,000 people that are awake in 2020, okay, of Christ consciousness? How, when we get all together, we all speak a love language. And for those that don't know that love language, they think that we're speaking Babel. Isn't that hilarious? But I know that when I talk amongst my circle of Christ-conscious people, they hear that language of love and light. They could pick it out of your mouth. They could hear it in the air, and they know where you've been. You've been in the same water. You got the same watermark they do. So, Jesus was saying here, there is my church. Okay, that's the difference. My church. All right, this is Jesus' church. It is a church with no name. What can I stick on 1111 church as the water, the living water that he's doing right now? It doesn't have a name. I'm trying to write it out as the porch. Okay, it doesn't have a name. It doesn't have a home. I'm trying to create a home for a brand new water that Jesus has created in the last 10 years and has now come up for everybody to see. Okay, I see that. I know that. I know it's the living Jesus Christ energy. I know that he built a church. It's not that I'm building a church. He already built a church. He just told me to go round them up. That's all I'm doing. That's why it's called the porch. Y'all just get up here. You know what I mean? It's for you that is called. It's for you that speak the love and light language. So Jesus said to me, let me get back on point here. He said to me that the woman in Revelations that God comes out of the water with what? Not to make fun here, but I don't douse myself in the literal. So the Revelations 10 crowns, 10 cups, tiger-butted thing that comes out of the water. He was saying, like, that's not exactly a woman. It's not always, you guys have a tendency to put it on people, like, God's a man. It's, God's an energy, guys. And so we tend to place it so hardly sometimes, and we want to place the Antichrist on a person. It's not a person. It's an entity all on its own. And Jesus raised me straight up out of my bed like Lazarus last night, just whoop, and gave me the touch and literally gave me something scary to say out loud to you. And he said that the religions of the world, it's the church, it's religions of the world. The religions of the world is exactly what Revelations is talking about. And really, because all that religion is a blasphemy to Jesus Christ. It's a blasphemy to his spirit. It's like building a golden calf of amalgamations of jewelry at the foot of the mountain of the Spirit of God. Why did you do that at the foot? You know what I mean? Because they were impatient. And so that's a large statement, but Jesus brought some things along to help back that up, and not through me, through him. So he said there is that church. I'm going to use that lower tone like the devil, that church. And that religion of the world will get you lost. And there's either lost or found. And Jesus is the found church of the living spirit, the Christ consciousness, okay? You have to understand that he's a living body church. You don't have to go inside a building. It's outside ourselves, amen? It's outside the world. You got to look crazy to go to this church. You can't be normal. And the devil made religion in mirror image of what Jesus has done with his church. The devil came along with the mirror because the devil cannot create a damn thing. All he can do is copy. So the devil comes along and copies what God was doing and boom, give us religion. And when you say religion, people say God. They almost sit next to each other. God said, no, they don't. He said, no, we don't. Because it is religion that separated me from my mother and my father. It's religion that separated you from the truth. It's religion that separates you from spirituality. And I am the spirit. God is the spirit. And so be in of the spirit, not in of religion. Do not spend your whole life serving religion well so you can be marked good and go to hell. I don't want that for you. I never wanted that for you. So, and this is not, I'm not calling every church bad. This is something Jesus is saying. He's saying the religions, and Jesus meant to tear churches down when he was here as a man. And he tore over tabernacles then. He's still just as angry that the church is just as, that religious church that's mimicking him is not home. And boy, it's painted like home. It's got, the right signage out front, the right robes, out on top of people. And that's just really not where he wants us to go at all. We're being deceived into religions. And religions, if we go there in just a second, I want to make sure this stays not on my mind, but on the holy flow of what Jesus wants me to say. So he also talked, when I was talking about this last night, he said, I am the bride. Well, you are the bride. You are my female. And because I called you a bride, you are my female. And I'm your male. I'm your charge. The positive, the negative. I'm coming for you. I will collect you. I'm coming for you. So we know that we are the living body of the bride of Christ. We are the living church. We are the church, not the building or the label. We are the church, okay? And you can tell by our light and love language and our watermarks that we are a church. You cannot force us into a box and label us. You cannot label undefinable love. You cannot define irrefutable love. You just can't. And the world spends their time making religions because they can't handle God in all the ways that God is. God is Alpha, Omega, all-knowing. So he gives you this knowing place right here, and it's inside of us the whole time. We don't have to go outside of us to know things. So when the devil played mimicry to what Jesus was doing, he gave us religion. And that's what Jesus was telling me last night. It's snake for snake. It's church for church. At the end of days, do you not already think that it's going to be a spiritual battle? And I thought, well, yeah, it is. I mean, it's pretty much what it is. He said it to me last night on my bed. He said it'll be a church for church. It'll be church for church. It'll be church versus church. Because you spiritual churchers do not fit into your other religious churches anymore. And a lot of you have been excommunicated out of those churches. A lot of you don't fit in, or you have to go in there watered down because they're not going to accept the fact that you can hear God, that there's quantum physics to be taught on your front porch to everyone. They're not going to accept the 11:11 phenomenon. They're not going to accept the real reality that Jesus Christ, the living energy, is this alive and it is here. They can't explain it. They don't know what to do with it. When people don't know what to do with it, they call it wrong, and they tell you it's wrong, and they make you feel inferior, devalue your walk, and then tell you to go away from them. Okay, the reason that that's starting to happen to a lot of spiritual people is because you don't belong where you don't belong. That's a fake house. That's not going to let you grow, and it hasn't been letting you grow. I went to churches on and off for 29 years and never got the Christ conscious. And when I got Christ consciousness, God pulled me out of the church, out of religion. It was crazy. Okay? I went kicking and screaming because I thought somebody was wrong. I thought I was listening to the wrong person. I prayed a lot. And so I know what I'm bringing is the truth. And Jesus said, snake for snake. You're not going to tell. If you had just walked in the room when Pharaoh threw his snake down and Moses threw his snake down, if you had just burst into the room, would you have known which snake is whose? You would not have known. So Jesus said, church and church. There are two churches on this land. One is of me and of light and love and being alive. And it looks crazy and it's outside the normal. And there's another church that teaches you to be normal. That'll never allow you to be intense and passionate and kind of crazy. In fact, they call that wrong. Okay? In spirituality, being intense and passionate is authentic and it's celebrated. It's not wrong. Okay? So he's saying here, there's two here. They look identical. Do you know which one that you're serving? Do you know which one comes from where? So Jesus was telling me that the religions of the world that do nefarious, okay, that take the, you know what I'm saying, that do the bad, the religions of the world that control in the power and teaching us to be sterile in the Lord, because we go to church and we're not really jazzed up that often. I'm infused and jazzed up with the living spirit of Jesus Christ every single day. On my bed, in the kitchen, when I'm cooking, when I'm pooping, when I'm sitting here writing stuff for you. Come on, I could be a 9-year-old kid, did you not? We have talked to God through all avenues in our life, and I still talk to God through every single minute of my life, and I'm jazzed up. Sometimes he gets me excited. He's mysterious. He brings tears to my eyes. He puts goosebumps on my arms, and I share those living symptoms with other people right here on the porch that I've had private communication with. So I'm not the only one. I'm just the loudest one. And Jesus said to me last night that these two churches, church and church, are literally sitting on the land the same. And if you cannot tell them apart. And one is mimicking God. And you can tell by the way that it feels. And if you went to church and you sit there, church is like a living funeral. It's kind of somber and quiet, and your grandma smacks you if you make any noise. Spirituality, the complete opposite. It's asking you to grow. It's begging you to grow. It's asking you, it's pulling you out of your mundane, your complacency. It's exploiting your weaknesses. It looks bad, but what's actually happening to you is you're being asked to go where you've never gone before, and that's exactly where Jesus wants you to go. Church of religion would want you to stay right there, go stay in a house for 35 years, 40 years, and call your life good. Don't want you to move. Don't want you to know the real power that lays around you. So Jesus was telling me also a snake here has sensory built into itself. It's got the tongue, it's got the eyes, it's got the body. It has no arms, no feet. It's totally built for stealth. So if it wants to be sneaky, it's built for this. Okay, it won't even overbreathe in the closet as it hides. A snake is so silent. So that is why the devil mimics this snake activity, because it's just senses. He's using his sensories to move. If you think about it, crowd, a snake, Jesus said, had no intuition. A snake has no intuition. None. It runs completely on its senses, which are acute for sure. But the external, it has no internal senses, okay? A snake, duh. We compare people to snakes, hello, the lowest of low. So when you're waking up in a spiritual sense, you have an internal snake, and it's called the Kundalini snake. And when that happens, it's waking up your intuition. You have intuition, and you start relying more on the senses of internal than you do the 5 senses you have external. Okay, he just made mention of that, so I thought that was really awesome. Your spiritual and intuitive snake in Kundalini around your chakras that needs to be kickstarted by God. He usually does that by kicking you where the good Lord splits you, which is right in the root chakra, and then the work does itself at least for 7 years, because it'll change you, it'll wake you up, it'll move you. You know it does. Old life, new life. I'm not the only one to experience this. And when that happens to you, you get gifts and talents through the Lord. You get gifts and talents through the spiritual mantle. Okay, which didn't come for free, because I know you left 90 pounds of flesh at the you can't come here, you can't stay here in your old life. You paid at that point to keep going with Jesus, and I know that you did. So Jesus is saying here that even though there is, he also was, to point this out, he said the revelational female is like a female, it's like is like a circle, and Jesus likes to tell me that females are circles, and he has us being the bride, being the church. We are the circle. Because why are we circles? You don't know this, and I haven't taught it to you yet, but this was holy river water. Let me get a marker. Everything comes out backwards. I'm going to draw a triangle, and then I'm going to draw a circle, and then I'm going to draw a... Here, I'll just show you. So there's this. This is a triangle. That's a circle. That's a triangle. Whatever. Misanthropes. Jesus said, one time he made me draw this, and then he said to put the chakras here. There's the root chakra. There's that chakra, the heart chakra. Your throat chakra, your third eye, and your crown. And he told me that this is him. This is the Jesus foundation. Okay, him, and it's red. The root chakra is red. Okay, you're going to wake up, get rooted in him, and you're going to believe while you do it, because Jesus bled for you. So this is the foundation. You put your foundation on him, and then you move up into this energy that's a circle. He said this is the feminine. This is the bride. Okay? This is where Jesus gets into your creative house, your willpower, and your heart, and gets to moving. And it's in this circle that we'll find us, the church, we the church, the bride, the feminine. We are the great big circle doing this very blueprint out onto the world. So this blueprint is for you yourself. This blueprint's for your family, founded on Christ. Doing the feminine work of transmuting. I mean, what is my spleen, my liver, my kidney, my stomach, my lungs? What do? They transmute energy. Whatever comes in is not coming out the same. Right on? Is Jesus Christ not like that himself? Whatever comes in me is not coming out the same. Amen? So Jesus is our also great transmuter. And when he's doing that, he's reflecting back to us how we could be a great circle too. Okay? So he's saying, you are the feminine to me. You are the feminine. I am your male, and I'm your foundation. You get with me. You do this. And when you do this, you wake up in your heart, okay? And when you do this work, you foundate your life in a very well-balanced, spiritually growing in IQ way, which means you're in school with Jesus. When you're doing this, you're foundated on him. And while you're doing this, you don't even have to graduate to get the gift. All you got to do is flinch your knee of good intent to go towards God, and you automatically get this. This is the Godhead. The Godhead, the throat chakra that allows me to talk to you the way that I do. The third eye that plays the movie montages like the psychic in my head. Where does that come from? Wow. I don't do it. It's because it comes from the river. It comes from the spiritual anointing. And the crown chakra, what is the crown chakra? It's holy communication with Jesus Christ, like a phone. Hello. And that's what I'm telling you that I have. And it's not just because I'm special. It's because there's a blueprint to be had here. There's a blueprint to be had. So he was telling me that this feminine is going to mock the other, us, the bride, okay? So we've got a church that's mimicking the church. And he also talked about signage. The signage. He said to me that religions have the signage right out front to coax you in. They've got the signs of the cross. They got all the neat little things that you want to... And like I said, I'm not specifically saying that it's all wrong. But Jesus, I definitely do think he has his opinion. It matters to him. Which he has his mind up about what churches he's talking about. Okay? So, which religions and religious churches he's talking about. He also said the signage. The devil does a good job about putting the signage at the wrong place. The signage on religion has the crosses and everything that tells you this is where I go. And spirituality has the signage of an occult, the signage of chakras, the signage of Buddha, the signage of Jesus, the signage of Gaia, the signage of 1111. It has all kinds of signs, and to the opposite religious believer, they look at that and it looks like New Age, it looks like the occult, it looks like stuff they can't understand, because religion is all about accepting God's love in a confined way, in a way that they're comfortable with accepting God's love. Well, guess what? When you're doing spirituality, when you're living in the Spirit, God is going to ask you to accept His love in all ways, whether that's through your YouTube homepage or through your oven clock, 1111, 555, 444. He's going to do stuff. You're going to say things and walk into the room and somebody else said the same thing. He's going to connect the golden thread and a divine arrow into every conversation, every movement, where you're just like living around this boxing you all the time that you know you're not alone kind of energy. That's the Spirit, because He's alive and around us all the time. Okay? So Jesus was saying here, again, there's two snakes on the ground. There's two churches on the ground. One is of Moses. One is of the Pharaoh, basically. There's church and then there's church. But when you say it to the world, hey, I don't go to church, all they hear is that middle tone, church. Like we just use it in a sentence, church, church. Jesus hears church or church. I know that's kind of funny, but that's what He's talking about. He's saying that there's been a great blasphemy done here. I came and I was on the land, and there has been religion built off my back, an amalgamation of things built off my back that had nothing to do with me, kind of like the golden calf right at the foot of the mountain of my spirit. That had nothing to do with me. It was like of and from me of my wind, but I did not do that. So religion also separates us from each other, creates division, creates hate, creates misunderstandings. It creates wars, Bloody Mary, cuts people's heads off, John the Baptist, kills Jesus at the cross. Religion has always been the arch enemy of spirituality. And the signage is backwards, and that's why spirituality has always gotten a bad rap and still does until the 1111 Christ conscious water has shown up to put spirituality back on the shelf of respectability where it belongs, and finally devalue some religious aspects that don't need to be there anymore. Because it's the religion that's kind of been running the world, telling us religion runs so tightly with society. So religion says, you better act right and conform or I'll cut off your head. You know what I mean? Okay, great. You taught me that. Better not step out of line or I'll be burned at the stake. Better not step out of line or I'll be excommunicated. Better not step out of line or grandma's going to smack me. Better not step out of line or my parents are going to disown me. You guys step out of line like Jesus did the day He talked to the Samaritan woman. He stepped out of line 2 damn times. He wasn't supposed to be talking to women, and he sure wasn't supposed to be talking to a Samaritan woman, but he did it, didn't he? He's asking you to step out of lines. Jesus stepped out of lines all the time. He was the original outlaw with 12 little outlaws running behind him. There wasn't 32,000 outlaws. There wasn't 1 million outlaws. Only 12 had a heart to follow a man that strong, that brazen, that loud. And Jesus is not that far away from snakes, and let me show you how. When Moses used his rod of God to throw it down, it turned into a snake first. It was Pharaoh that mimicked it, okay? Moses in the desert in the book of Numbers was asked to make a bronze serpent on a pole because we'll go in this story later if you want to get there, but some people were griping again to God, and a lot of people griped when God and Moses were partnered up. What was with that? I mean, there they are trying to help, golly, Israelites. So anyway, they were groaning and moaning again, and as punishment, God rained down fiery serpents that bit the people, and they began to die. So they got it, and they were like, Moses, tell Dad to make it go away. So Moses went over there, and he's like, them, these guys, grace and mercy here. So, God told Moses to go make a bronze serpent on a pole and hold it up, and all that saw that would be saved. So, and that's exactly what happened. Okay, a little bit loose story, but it's there in the Bible. Go do your homework, have accountability, look it up yourself. But this is not the first time that Jesus has used a great serpent to represent himself and his own power. Okay, so he says also, and this leads right into John 3:14, and that's a favorite one among people. So we rise up the Son of Man, lift him up, lift up the Son of Man like Moses lifted up the serpent. Okay, so that story of the serpent lifting up is connected right into John 3:14. So God so loved the world, okay? Go read that, check that out. So that's twice that there's, he's used that snake. And, the snake on the pole is exactly where we get the medical, I might pronounce this wrong, but the caduceus, I don't know. But when you guys, the emblems, it's got the pole and it's got the two snakes, Google it, it means help, SOS, going to the emblems. To the hospital. It means medical care. And it came from the day that Moses made the bronze serpent on a rod. Okay, so it mimics that. It is medical. Look at this, you will not die. You know what I mean? So our own medical people and medical personnel have this exact snake on a rod today on the outside of ambulances and hospitals. This same snake on a rod that you'll see if you draw your spine, your backbone, and then you put a Kundalini snake right there as a drawing, you're going to have this same design. You got a snake wrapped around a rod. That's your backbone. It's very much like the medical meaning of the snake wrapped around the rod in the book of Numbers. And it's very kick-ass, and God allowed the day that Moses threw his stick down and it turned into a snake as well. So Jesus says, I'm the internal snake, okay? And the devil is the external snake. And I'm asking you to go inside for church, not outside for church. And you'll know the difference in us because of the way it feels. When you're living with Jesus Christ and you're in your church and your living body in the church, okay, you're going to be excited by his spirit. You're going to be able to hear him all your own. You're not going to be confused. So when you go to church, like I said, it's almost like a living funeral. We're like forced almost into sleep and boredom sometimes. And we have to be a little bit fake and a little bit dressy and a little bit not ourselves. And we have to be a little bit tighter than we usually are. We can't be so, to me, it's too fake. It's too fake. God asked me not to change my shirt. He asked me to show up and come as I am. He asked me to start right here in my bedroom. He didn't say go build a big church and change your shirt and make sure you look perfect and all that. He didn't say that. Go buy big robes and no. And so he was stating that there's a mimicry of him on the land. And a lot of people don't see that mimicry that the devil does that is so sneaky like that of a snake. And you don't see a snake until you're standing on one, especially that like that of an octopus. The devil also is very much like an octopus. You will not see an octopus in camouflage until he wants you to see him. Okay? And octopuses, and I mentioned this before, I learned this about 2 months ago in Holy Knowing. It just came by. Jesus punched me. Well, Jesus didn't punch me. That's not bad. But I was going to say I was punched with knowledge at the same time. I was going to say, like, I got hit in the back of the head sometimes like I do. So, yes, Jesus just beats me into submission. I was going to talk about the octopus again. Jesus divined on me that octopuses have a pigment, an enzyme in their skin, right under their second skin layer that's called lucifer. I know. Oh, I mentioned this before. It is that lucifer enzyme that allows them to refract the light and change the texture of their skin along with the color and pigment. So not only are they being camouflaged, they can change the texture. Extreme HD camouflage. And that they actually have the neural control to do this manipulation on their brain on their own. Whereas other animals that camouflage like chameleons, they have to hold still and it's a slow process that their body physically takes on its own. They don't have brain power over that. An octopus has brain power over that. So Jesus is just saying here, the snake on the land is sitting right next to the living bodied church of Jesus Christ that worships in truth and spirit. And he said that in the good book. We worship in truth and spirit, not in the synagogues. We worship in truth and spirit. Well, what is truth? Well, truth is Jesus' other name. I am the way, I'm the light, and the truth. So if I'm going to say I worship in truth, I worship in Jesus. If I'm going to say I worship in truth and the spirit, well, what is spirit? Well, God is spirit. That's in the good book. So if I want to change the names here, a little bit of a meaning, what's the root word? What did I just say? That we serve God in truth and spirit. We worship in truth and spirit. Well, then we worship Jesus and we worship God and God. That's what we meant. Okay? There's no getting around who we are around here. So I was floored when Jesus was denoting that again to me, that there is a masquerade ball. And a masquerade ball of love is when you get on the dance floor with love and it looks like love, it smells like love, and he looks like love and all that other stuff. And then you find out it's a narcissist masquerading at the love ball like he was love, and you find out that that's not what love is at all. It came to steal, kill, and destroy and confuse you for years and years and years. Okay, that's narcissism. And the devil is narcissistic. He's the original narcissist. Like if Jesus was the original outlaw, then the devil's the original narcissist. And everybody that's narcissistic and the narcissistic energy that you see out in the political world right now and out in the world, the reason you're seeing more narcissism and more narcissism by the world's view stage is because we have 1111 here on a stage too. God's energy is here, and everywhere God is, the devil is. 5 seconds later. So every time we grow, you better expect that narcissism energy is going to grow, because that narcissistic energy is the energy of our adversary. The 1111, the Christ conscious, the 11, all this awakening code, this is the living energy of our God with no, Jesus Christ. Just like in Moses, the God of no name, the God on the mountain, the God of the fire, the God of the light. He's alive and he's on the land. Okay, so the more that we come into our knowing and come conscious, the more that the whore of Babylon is not going to care and pretty much just going to stand there and just kind of disrespect and be foul out loud and not give a damn. True colors show, the true colors will show. And when we do that, that's when we're actually going to separate the oil and water, because the true colors come out, and we can't lie with you no more. We can't lie with you no more. And if that means, lie with your mouth or lie down, we cannot lie together anymore. So it's a great separation of church and church. There's a mimicry of Jesus Christ's energy, and he's meaning to stop that now. And boy, ain't he breaking paradigms, because I know he's broken a million through me. One, I thought I had to be perfect to be with Jesus. Wrong. And I'm a prophet, and I thought that was saved for special people. Nope, Jesus is special, and therefore we're all housing that inside ourselves. It's the devil that keeps damning our self-worth. Bam! So we're here shedding light, not only on the fact that Jesus is already here moving in the land in our souls, knocking 1, 2, 3. We're also shedding the light on how the devil works. We're starting to figure out how the devil works. And the more you do that, you're starting to get smarter, and you're going to start to see that octopus in places that you never looked before. Now you're starting to train your eyes of what to look for. So anyway, there's that. And again, Jesus was reiterating last night that religion is what has split up his family. It's what split up his kids. It's what's got us all so separated by, religion is just, it's mean. I mean, there's people out there that damn another person because they have a Gregorian calendar. There's people that I watched just this Christmas season damn the other family because they were celebrating Christmas, because they put up a Christmas tree. Or there's so many ways. You guys, Jesus did not make it. He did not make it this hard. The devil did. Okay, God did not make it this hard. Think about it. The ambassador of the how to be here in life came off a mountain holding stone tablets. He didn't come down there with a big old wagon wheel of stuff and have to send a team to bring all the things God said. He was just carrying them on one and two hand, like a $20 bill and a $20 bill. He just had one in each hand. It's not this hard. It's not this hard. Okay, and Jesus personally he's made for you. And here's something neat Jesus did with me today, and I don't know what else to do with this. I don't have an opinion on it. I'm just going to bring it to you because it was noted to me today. So I don't mean to be incendiary with it, to incite anything, but I did get this today, and I don't know what to do with it, and I don't think I should do anything with it besides just tell you. Jesus actually had me fixated on the suffix word of Christianity. He had me concentrate on inanity. And I'm like, what are we doing? I just follow the water. Okay, so I understand you want me to do that. And then he wanted me to in my mind, concentrate on the suffix of spirituality. So there I have L-I-T-Y. And I'm like, what are we doing? He asked me then to Google. So I Googled, and I didn't get like a straight answer, but I got a gisty answer. And ality, so it is, let me do this again. Christianity, this is going to get funny. So the last part there, anity, is actually from the root word called inane. Inane is I-N-A-N-E, inane. Inane means void and empty and all the things you wouldn't think that would be sitting next to Christ's name. Okay? It literally means false, void, pointless, silly, something that is inane. And then when you move that around for verb, conjugating verbs, you end up with the word inanity, which means that it's silly, like, coming from the word inane. And then you have Christianity. And I thought, why is it like that? All I know is that I know back in the day, Christianity was a slang derogatory term, that the Romans would holler in the streets to people that loved and followed Jesus Christ, that we were called Christians, or, Christians. And so I don't know how to sit with that knowledge, the etymology of the word there, and why Jesus had me go look it up. But anity is there in the end of the word Christianity. Then he had me go look at the suffix of spirituality, which is L-I-T-Y. And when I did that, there was some Latin word meanings, but it means fervent prayer. And lity, L-I-T-Y, is actually, you can go look it up yourself here, but you get the same information. It gets down to a root word that means pure, homogeneous. Are you kidding? Of the same kind, of one chemical makeup. So wow, that's pretty. That's saying something that's kind of loud. So I don't know what to do with that besides bring it to you. But so it was a heavy message. Jesus was just saying, and I'm not gonna like shy away from the rest of this message. I have to look away from you again to do it. But as Jesus was telling me just that the religion of the world is actually the Babylon whore, and that the spirit of God and the church that is, that the world has different. I get confused. The world does not accept spirituality as the currency, the love religion of the love consciousness and the love religion and the love curriculum of Jesus Christ. Okay, we are trained to do religion. Religion is sterile and it's joyless. So religion has chasing God, feeling like a job, feeling like a chore. That's why we save it till we almost die, because it's the last thing we want to do, because we look at it like algebra or self-care. Let's just wait till the last minute to self-care. Let's wait till the last minute because that sounds like a job. When you're in spirituality, I've been in every single day for 7 years, and I've never loved another man like the way that I love Jesus Christ. He is mysterious and real, and he presses me, and he pulls me, and he teaches me, and he counsels me, and he turns me on, and he invigorates me, inspires me, and I could go on and on and on. And this doesn't end. It's not like a 30-year marriage where it's like, oh, it's getting boring now. Every time I'm with Jesus, it's like the first time. Every time is like the first time. Every time. So I didn't get that in church. So Jesus was saying, note the difference. Note the difference here. Feel the difference. You'll know which staff, which snake, which church is of me and of life, and which one is of death and normalcy and non-movement and stagnation. Okay? You'll know how it feels. And it's not that one is right or wrong. It's that one is lost and one is found. Plain and end of story. But he also mentioned how the church of the mimicry here, the church, is actually the Antichrist itself. And that's the Antichrist. It's not a man, it's the church that's mimicking the church. And that is the Antichrist. So when it comes to rise, it's really power. It's power and narcissism and overtaking like that of an octopus, real slow, but once it gets on, and there's no coming off of that. And anyway, he just wanted me to say, you guys remember that God is not a man, he's an energy. Remember that Jesus is not that, he's very much alive. Remember that church isn't down the street, it's within your chest. Look inside, not outside. Don't look up for heaven, look inside for heaven. The devil's taught us everything the opposite of what to do here. You do not have to be perfect to hear and communicate from Jesus Christ. Lainey Quinlan has shown you that with her own living life right now, amen. This is not the first or the last time I'll send one of that kind. Amen to that message. So we need to be very vigilant on how, when we grow up in the 11:11 water here, when we become a living church and a spiritual church, that's why I'm here to catch religion refugees, because I'm not the one pulling them away from religion. It's Jesus Christ, the living spirit, the living man. He doesn't want you in a false home with the wrong signage out front so you fit into everybody else. He wants you out here not fitting in with the world, being outside of the world, okay, and ready to pay those costs as he did. So I'm gonna leave it at that, and I'm probably gonna get my foot to get unnumb, and then I will come back to you guys in just a little minute. So I hope that resonated with you. I hope you got excited with that, and I'm gonna go away from it, and like I said, I'll come back, because usually when I do something like this big, I'll leave crumbs, and they're really important. So I'll scoop those up if I missed anything, and I'll come back at you. Okay? All right. So I will catch you guys in just a little bit. Thanks for tuning in.